Economic analysis is about deducing the implications about the human behavior from the given data. From our subject's definition and by our rivet, it follows that economics only studies the implications of given means and given ends for our behavior, and excludes any theoretical or empirical explanations of causes of our ends, or of our means. All of these fall out of bounds of economics. Economics, we know by now, takes the data about means and ends as given, and proceeds to study the implications of these for our behavior. Since the implications can be studied only by the method of deduction, it follows that due to the definition of the subject, economics remains only a mathematical and deductive branch of knowledge. A logical derivation of aforesaid is as follows. First, we have only two logical methods, either deductive or inductive. Second, economics takes the information about means and ends as given, and studies the implications of these given data. Next, the implications of something are found by the method of deduction. By implication, we mean to deduct additional concepts without modifying our given data. Deduction identifies relations between concepts, or variables, in a more direct manner. For an instance, we are given x greater than y, a less than z, y equals z plus 1, and we are interested only in a relation between x and a, so we deduce x greater than a, which deducts all other concepts but shows relevant information explicitly. This is deductive logic, and this makes implications of given data explicit for our use. Fourth, all observational studies only yield probabilities. The method of inductive reasoning, observational studies or experimentation, only points to a probability in the data generated by statistically controlled or lab-controlled setting. Dealing with the data, all an observational study does is to report variances and covariances between multiple observations, and a non-zero covariance by definition implies a non-uniform probability distribution. If all values are the same, that is to say no probability distribution exists, variance will be zero, covariance will be zero, and thus coefficients in regression will be in error, and experimental results will report probabilities of 1. This is never the case. Thus, observational studies only report, implicitly or explicitly, probabilities, often from non-uniform distributions. If there is a uniform distribution, for our purpose of empirical study etc., it is same as if we have one number, and no probabilities. Besides, uniform distribution is a rarity among rarities. Moreover, since the formula of bivariate, simplest, regression coefficient is covariance of x and y divided by variance of y, a zero in all cases gives an error in result. Finally, since experimental setting uses real-life data, it is least likely to have probability of 1.0 in results because the most frequent distributions are non-uniform. Coming back, empirical studies only report a probability which is only a statistic, and not an implication. Therefore, the method of inductive reasoning does not allow for the identification of implications. Finally, the method of economics is necessarily only deductive logic. And this is the logical necessity of the definition of our subject, and nature of available types of logical thinking. Note that since probabilities are subsets on a set of real numbers from 0 to 1, set theory, which is deductive logic, is employed to deduce probabilities which are not directly given but implied.